If the driver who hit you does not have car insurance, there are a couple of things that you need to do. First thing you need to do is contact your insurance agent and find out how much your insurance company offers you for what we call uninsured motorist coverage. Uninsured motorist coverage is usually the same limitations, the same policy limits on your policy as what your liability coverage is. So for example, if you go to your insurance broker when you buy your car insurance and you say, I need new car insurance, I need to be covered up to $100,000 per individual, $300,000 per accident, you will also get the same amount of coverage for what we call uninsured motorist coverage. And if you have uninsured motorist coverage, that's the policy limit that you will look to pursue a case against an uninsured driver. So you would do the exact same thing that you would do otherwise when you sue an individual for needlessly causing you harm. You would still sue that individual, but instead of relying on that person's insurance to pay, you would also send a copy of the complaint to your insurance company. And at that point, it becomes tricky because your insurance policy, which insures you and you pay a premium for, has now become adverse to you. They are on the other side of the V, as we say, John Doe versus Jim Doe. They're on the other side of the V at this point, and they are actually representing the defendant in that case, if there's no attorney or insurance company providing a defense for the defendant in that case. So now here you are adverse to your own insurance policy because that's a premium that you pay, and they're going to defend just like the defendant's insurance policy would, and you have to negotiate and you have to try the case against them just as if you would if the defendant had an insurance policy. There are options that you can do in certain cases if the other person is not insured. For example, do they have any other assets? Do they own a home? Do they have any equity? Do they have any investments or anything like that? You can look to the individual personally. Oftentimes we find that if the person does not have insurance, doesn't pay their insurance premium, and their insurance policy has been canceled, they also don't have any assets. And it wouldn't make sense to pursue a judgment against them to get a piece of paper that just says that you have the right to collect, but you've got nothing to collect against. So what we do in that situation is we look to your own insurance policy limits to pay the difference. So when I talk about buying insurance for people, I'm not just talking about in case you injure someone else. I'm also talking about if someone else injures you. If you go out and you buy the cheapest policy limits out there, then you get what you pay for. So if you have $100,000 policy limits for your insurance policy, then you also have $100,000 in uninsured motorist coverage. But if you only have $25,000 in policy limits if you injure someone else, because perhaps you're a safe driver and you're not afraid that you're going to be negligent and harm someone else, but you're also hurting yourself because that means you only have $25,000 in uninsured motorist coverage and underinsured motorist coverage also. So if you only buy the cheapest policy, you're ultimately hurting yourself in the event that someone who is uninsured or underinsured injures you later on down the road.